lease. It's solid. That's like a picture.
That's not like a picture. Like a picture is a picture.
But he doesn't see the problem.
Take a picture of 2 tons of garbage.
Yeah, well, try to picture that.
I can picture it if I had a picture. Picture!
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Michael White is suing his former tenants, Curtis Couts and his wife, Melissa Nekashe, for unpaid rent and damage to his rental property.
Order. All rise. Case number 249 on the calendar, the matter of White versus Couts, Nekashe.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Mr. White, the defendants were tenants of yours for 4 years, according to what I read. And it is your claim that they moved out, they owed you some money for a couple of months' rent, and that they damaged the property in excess of what their security deposit was, which you kept, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Tell me when they moved in, what month and year?
I believe it was September 2010.
And what month and year did they move out?
They moved out April 9th of this year, 2015.
Okay. And was there a lease after the initial lease?
Yes. Lease was signed in August of last year. It was an 8-month lease, and I have a copy of that.
I'd like to take a look at it.
It is a non-renewable lease ending on March 31st of this year.
And you did move out on the 9th of April?
No, ma'am. We moved out around March 13th of 2015 because we relocated to Julian on March 1st.
When was all of your property out of the house?
March 13th, approximately.
Is that right?
Well, I have it as March 9th is when I moved in. I guess they took a few more days coming back and moving.
What's April 9th?
And April 9th is when I came down and asked them to leave. I asked them to leave on the 5th, and they didn't leave until the 9th.
Are you talking of March or April?
April.
April. Do you have any documentation of that? That we're talking about March instead of April? He says he had already relocated in March.
No, they had moved, and they kept a lot of their yard ornaments and which I would call junk all around the property, and along with over 2,000 pounds of garbage in the front yard.
What I'm talking about is, were they in the house in April?
They were in the house in April.
Physically, the two of them. I'm not talking about their trash or their lawn ornaments.
Well, I mean, their bed wasn't there, if that's what you mean, but they didn't let me in the house, if that's your question. They didn't let me in the house. My
question is, when they say they relocated, that means they were there. I know what you're talking about in terms of other property being there. If there's property there, I may construe that as them being there. I want to know when they were gone.
Okay.
I have no idea what that is.
That was no.
Just tell me what the door is.
Well, the door jam right there, there was a situation, and yes, it did get broke out, and I did forget about it.
Okay, so that has to be repaired.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Do you have a price, sir, for fixing the door?
Yes, I didn't charge for labor. My friends in Descanso did the labor on that, and the only charge I had for the door was the charge for the door frame, which was $163 for the door jamb kit.
Right, so you take $163 off of this $1,100 security deposit.
It's made for the locks.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,463. Thank you very much. That's
Thank you,
all.
Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
People told me, take pictures, but when it's happening and you're right in the middle of a situation, I didn't think of it.
As you can see, his mind is gone because in the beginning he said it was 1 ton of trash, then it was 2 tons of trash.
All their neighbors asked me to please get them out of the neighborhood.
There might have been a couple bags I left behind.
My friend David came to serve them the papers.
But there was no 2 tons of garbage.
And Curtis didn't pull a shotgun on him, but he laid a shotgun over his...
I guess that's something to say, I guess.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Spiller versus Page. Step forward.
Brittany Spiller is suing her ex-roommate, 25-year-old Chances Page, for unpaid rent and utility bills.
Miss Spiller, you and the defendant moved into an apartment together. She left before the lease was over. You want her to pay the rent for 2 months.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Page says it was as a result of your actions that she was forced to move. You allowed people to be in the house who she felt were dangerous. She felt uncomfortable. She moved out, and she said that you, in fact, owe her money because she had covered your bills several times when you didn't have money. She also claims that she loaned you money for concert tickets and feels as if you really should reimburse her for her moving expenses since it was a result of your company that she was forced to move. Am I reading that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. When did you move in together, and what was the term of the lease?
We moved in November 17th, and I believe it was a 13-month lease. Yes.
Okay, and you lived together for 10 months?
Yes.
When did you start to have trouble, Miss Page?
Well, I've been loaning Brittany money for quite a while, even before we moved in, so the borrowing money, that's part of the trouble also. She'll leave them there with me while she'll go to work, and I have to watch out for everything, all of our belongings. It was just ridiculous.
Well, what were the problems with her company?
Some of them didn't have a resident of their own, so they were homeless. Some of them, they were stealing from her, so I had to stay home all day and make sure my things didn't get stolen because she had...
Give me the name.
Of the person?
Yeah.
Marquise Blaine.
Now, is that one person?
No, that's two.
Two boys, a boy and a girl?
Two guys. It's more than that. It's more people.
You mean the only people she knows are people who steal and are homeless?
She likes to affiliate herself with those type of people.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How did she assault you?
Well, I was trying to get my clothes away from her, and she pushed me into a door.
So you actually touched her physically?
No, I didn't touch her.
Oh, give me a break, would you, Miss Page?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Brittany Spiller says ex-roommate Chances Page moved out owing for rent and bills. Chances is countersuing for unpaid loans.
Now, tell me about the day that you moved out.
Well, it actually happened June 30th. It was the night before I actually moved my things out. I was washing my clothes. She came home banging on it's in my name, even though I paid majority of the bills in the house. She's trying to throw my stuff out the washer, so I was standing in front of it, and I was telling her, you can't touch my stuff. I paid for
Just a second.
this.
Tell me about the washer and dryer on June 30th.
June 30th, I came home. I was out, and I was washing clothes before I left.
When did you leave?
I left around 9:30 or 10 that night.
And you started the laundry at 9:30
Yes.
or 10? Or what time did you get home?
I came home maybe 1 o'clock. I'm not quite
1 a.m.
sure. I don't really know
Okay,
what time I came home. I came home to find my wet clothes on the floor. That's when I did go and knock on her door and ask her why were my wet clothes on the floor.
You mean she had taken your clothes out?
Yes, and she put them on the floor.
And instead of, do you have a dryer?
Yes, we have a dryer. It's a stackable, and the dryer was not full.
So the argument was about you putting her clothes, instead of throwing them into the dryer, putting them on the floor so you could wash your clothes.
At this time, Your Honor, we already been falling out.
Listen to me. Just asking you if I'm getting that right. Instead of taking her clothes out of the washing machine and putting them in a dryer, you put her clothes on the floor.
Yes.
Why?
Because she had clothes in the dryer already, and by this time we were already falling out, so I wasn't going in her room. The rest of the furniture in the house was mine, so I wasn't putting her wet clothes on my furniture. She didn't leave a hamper out there, and I needed to wash my clothes for work. So there was no other place to put her clothes.
Well, she came into your room, you said banging.
Yes.
Right, and you were in bed. That's what you just told me. So that you weren't going to wake yourself up in the middle of the night to take her clothes out of the dryer and put your clothes in the dryer.
I was going to do it that
understand?
morning. Yes.
You understand where I'm going?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. What else?
Well, that's when she assaulted me.
Tell me how she assaulted you.
She was trying to get my clothes out of the washer, but I was standing in front of it. So she went and turned the power off because the circuit breaker is in her room. So she turned all the power off in the house.
How did she assault you?
Well, I was trying to get my clothes away from her, and she pushed me into a door where I hit my shoulder.
How were you trying to get the clothes away from her?
I was reaching for my clothes.
So she had your clothes in her hands?
Yes. She was taking them out of the washer. I was reaching for my clothes.
So you were getting your clothes, so you actually went towards her, touched her physically.
No, I didn't touch her.
Well, how were you going to get your clothes that were in her hands if you weren't touching her?
She was reaching in the washer at the same time I was reaching in the washer.
Oh, give me a break, would you, Miss Page?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What was the arguing about?
She was jealous.
No, she's not going to say she's jealous. I want to know what she said to you.
This had nothing to do with home. It had something to do with work. We had an argument, and it fell out from there.
How?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Brittany Spiller says ex-roommate Chances Page moved out owing for rent and bills. Chances is countersuing for unpaid loans.
Okay. When did you move out?
June 30th.
How many months do you have left to go on your lease?
My name was taken off the lease in August 11th. Well, August 7th, my name was taken off the lease, so...
Fine, so 2 months.
Yes, but she had a new roommate in August.
Did you have a new roommate in
that
August?
wasn't on the lease?
She signed the lease towards the end of August.
So
yes.
It's the month of July?
Yes.
How much was your share of the rent?
$535.
And your share of the rent?
$535.
Okay, so you have to give her your share of the rent for the month of July, $535. What else?
It's actually more than that because when she moved out, she did not pay, and then I also had to pay late fees, so it was...
$535. What's next?
In her room, she's damaged carpet in there, which when I move out, I would have to pay out of my deposit.
$535. What else?
That's it. And then
Good.
Utilities as well.
$535. I don't want to hear the rest of the nonsense if you didn't get along. Now, did she complain to you, by the way, about the people in the house?
No.
Just look at me.
No.
Look at me. She never said to you, I'm uncomfortable with Marquise or Blaine or anybody else. Never complained to you.
No.
You had gotten along fine. You decided to lease an apartment together. What was the arguing about?
She was jealous.
No.
The argument was about... This had nothing to do with home. It had something to do with work. We had an argument, and it fell out from there.
How?
She ended up getting someone fired at work. She wanted my input on it. I didn't give her the correct input that she was looking for. So she told me that if it was the other way around, she would have been there for me as a friend. And I didn't believe in what she was doing was right. So I did not stick up for her at that point.
$535 in rent. So you want to tell me what you think she owes you?
She owes me 3 months of rent. I have all the receipts right here from when I paid March, April, and May rent. She owes me from Comcast.
Just a second. You paid her share of 3 months' rent?
Yes, ma'am, because she always had an excuse. She had to help her parents with her brother's legal fees.
Just a second. Look at me, Miss Spiller. Before I look at that, did she ever pay your share of rent?
No, ma'am.
Never?
Never.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Show me proof that you paid her share of rent.
I have it right here. These are the receipts for 3 months, and they're all in my name that I paid.
Oh, I don't care if they're in your name. Listen to me, Miss Page.
Yes.
Carefully. I don't care if the receipts are in your name. I want you to show me that you paid her share rent, and you got the receipt for it. I want you to show me that you paid her share of rent.
Well, if you look at the paper, it shows that after I moved out, she can only pay in a money order. If she had the money herself to pay, she would have continued to pay in a money order like she's been doing, because she can't pay with a debit card at our old apartment complex because she was writing them bad checks. So they won't allow her to pay online.
I don't know about that either unless you have some documentation of that.
I just have my
What
payment
else?
receipts.
What else?
Also, Comcast, I have text messages from her acknowledging that we split Comcast bill in half, and then she added some extra services that has a $30 upcharge, and she agreed to pay that also.
What else?
Also, a concert ticket. On my birthday, I bought concert tickets. I let her know that I have an extra ticket. If you want to buy it, it's $150. If not, I'll probably sell it to my brother or one of my other friends. She agreed that she wanted to purchase the ticket. She gave me $50 for it, but she still owes me $100 for the ticket.
How much did you pay for the ticket?
$150.
You paid $150?
Yes.
How much did you give her for the ticket?
I gave her $150 in cash.
Lies.
Show me.
I don't have it. I mean, I didn't know we were coming here for that. It was in cash, and it was a birthday gift for herself, and she bought 2 tickets and wanted me to come along. I agreed to pay.
Why would I buy you a ticket for my birthday?
You bought both of the tickets.
And I was selling one.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $535. That's
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
an ad on Craigslist for a roommate.
But is he too sensitive to have tenants?
It was uncomfortable. I gave her a 30-day notice.
Because you didn't like her attitude.
Well, Your Honor.
I'm speaking.
Okay. Judge Judy.
She's a very selfish person. If it's not about her, then she doesn't care about anybody or anything else.
She's delusional.
She borrows and steals, and she doesn't want to pay anybody back.
And she's crazy, and there's no talking between her.
She comes to me with a sob story, then I loan her the money.
I never did.
But I expect to get my money back, which didn't happen.
I never borrowed any money from her.
There is no friendship.
It is, but it's taught me a lesson.
No more roommates.
Never to have roommates again.
put an ad on Craigslist for a roommate because you were clearly short of money.
A single dad struggles to make things work.
Whose idea was it that she pay 3 months in advance?
Hers.
Why did she move out 3.5 weeks early?
But is he too sensitive to have tenants?
The attitude that I was getting, it was uncomfortable. I gave her a 30-day notice that day.
Because you didn't like her attitude.
Well, Your Honor.
I'm speaking.
Okay.
Judge Judy. Of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. Rebecca Hawkins is suing her former landlord, Frank Simmons Jr., for the return of rent and stolen property.
Order. All rise. Case 252 on the calendar, the matter of Hawkins versus Simmons.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Simmons, I'm going to start with you. What kind of property do you have?
I rent a home in North Carolina.
How long have you rented the same home?
A little over 2 years.
Who do you live there with?
Myself.
And I gather you rent rooms in that house.
Well, it's not something that I do constantly, but I decided to rent a room because I got the 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. I wanted it for me and my 2 boys. I wanted my 2 boys to come and stay with me. That had not yet materialized, so I decided to rent out a room since it wasn't being used.
In what month and year did you start to rent the house?
October of last year.
Are you still living there?
Yes.
Did you sign a lease?
Yes.
Did the lease allow you to rent rooms?
The lease, it doesn't say that we can't rent. It says no subletting. Is that
Yes.
subletting?
Yeah.
Okay, then.
So you put an ad on Craigslist for a roommate?
Yes.
In the ad, how much were you asking for rent?
$350 a month.
And did she agree to the rent?
She did.
When did she move in?
The 14th.
Of June?
Of June.
And how much money did she give you?
She gave me a check for $1,000.
And you have that check?
Yes.
And is it for $1,000?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the $1,000 for, Mr. Simmons?
For payment for 3 months.
So it saved her a little bit of money if she paid you in advance.
It was supposed to.
That was the idea.
That was the idea.
Whose idea was it that she pay 3 months in advance?
Hers.
And what did she say to you?
She said to me, would it be okay if I gave you $1,000 cash and we would do it as that? And
for 3 months?
For 3 months. $1,000 cash for 3 months. And I said, that'd be fine.
Great. So she gave you $1,000. What did you do with the $1,000 check?
After I finally got it cashed, I took care of my expenses.
Right. So you cashed it and spent it.
Well, I didn't spend it all. I mean, it didn't...
Whatever it was, you used it for your own purposes.
Yeah.
So now she had the residence from June 14th to July, July to August, and August to September.
Yes.
14th. On what date did she move out?
I'm not sure, the 21st or 22nd of August.
Did you move out on 8/22?
8/21.
Great. Now, why did she move out 3.5 weeks early?
I was gone for 2 weeks. I was in Florida. I was training for my new job. And that was a Friday, 17th of July. That Saturday, now we had already had an incident, occur before I left.
What was the incident?
The incident was on the 4th of July, which was on a Saturday. I had been out all day. When I left, Miss Hawkins and Miss Armstrong were in the house. They were only 2 in the house.
Who's Miss Armstrong?
Miss Armstrong is a co-worker of hers who she asked, is this okay if she stays in the room, with me? She would only be there on the weekend, and I said, fine.
Okay.
So they were the only 2 there, and I left out. It's 4th of July. I go to cookouts, go to the events, whatever. I return home at about 10 o'clock at night, and I turn the knob, and I'm able to just get right in the house. I didn't have to use a key. The house was completely unlocked. Of course, I'm upset. I send a text to Miss Armstrong and to Miss Hawkins, explain to them, what I came home to. And I was responded back to from Miss Armstrong, and she was equally upset because she had belongings there as well. She said her laptop was there, and she had left, and the last one in the house, was Miss Hawkins. So she responded back to the text as well, and all she said was, fine, okay. When I said, please, this is my house. Do not leave my house unlocked, this, that, and the third. So she just, okay. That was the response.
Okay,
she didn't apologize for it. It wasn't a mistake. It was just...
All right. So she didn't grovel, but she said okay.
Yeah,
now we're 2 weeks after July 4th when you returned from being away.
Well, also, before that, I explained to her because she would stay there a week and then she would leave. And where she had left to go home for a week and left an appliance on and running in the room.
What?
She left the fan on and she left the fan running and she was gone. She wouldn't be back for a week. So, of course, I go in and unplug it. because I don't want you, I don't want you running up my electricity. And, there's nobody in the room. So I said something to her, in that regards as well. When I sent the text, I said, and please don't leave appliances running and things of that nature when you're not going to be here, when you're going to be gone, or, when you're going to be at work. And she says, well, what appliances do I have running? The text was kind of confrontational. The bottom line was, please don't, don't do this, don't do that. So that all happened before I left to go to Florida. When I returned on Friday, it was Friday night, so I didn't see her Friday night. She was at work. She worked overnight. Saturday morning, I get up. She's in the house. I'm in the kitchen. She comes in the kitchen, and I can feel the attitude coming up off of her. She doesn't say a word to me, and so I didn't say anything, and it was uncomfortable. The look that I received, the attitude that I was getting, it was uncomfortable. I gave her a 30-day notice that day.
Okay, and that was on July 17th?
I returned on the 17th. That would be the 18th.
Then she would have had to have been out on
August 17th.
August 17th?
Yes.
Which means that it's just about a month short of the September 14th day that she had fully paid.
Yeah.
Right. So
because she decided to leave before the 14th, and that's what the discrepancy was over. She felt like she was entitled to a certain amount of money, and she hadn't left the house yet before she filed against me. And I said, well, you're not entitled to any money until you move out. And then, the date that you move out, then that's when, we'll deduct.
And what date did she move out?
Well, I'm not sure what day she moved out because she never returned the key.
What date did you move out?
The 20th.
Of July.
And I also spoke with the girlfriend.
July 20th?
Yes.
So, about 7 weeks early?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, you can't keep her money, sir.
I'm not trying to keep her money.
But so that you have to give her money back.
And I'm all in favor of that.
Great. Now, tell me about this cash that you mentioned in here.
When I gave Frank, or Mr. Simmons, his $1,000 check, he came to me about 2 or 3 days after I gave him the check, and he said, can you give me this in cash? And I said, well, I don't really keep $1,000 in cash on me. And I said, this is an online bank. I can't really do anything. And I said, can you just cash it? I didn't see the problem.
Yeah, cash is cash.
Cash and check I thought was the same thing. Right. And he said, well, I don't have a bank account. And I thought it was kind of weird that a 45-year-old man does not have a bank account. And that was the words out of his mouth. He says, I don't have a bank account to cash it. Okay. So he said, I'll see if my dad can cash it. He said, in the meantime, do you have any money that you can give me for this? And just to tide you over, I didn't know if he just needed some.
You acknowledged the cash. What was the cash for?
The cash was her idea.
What was it for? The money
because
she gave you.
She said that she would give me $1,000 cash. Okay. So when she gave me the check, let me explain. So when she gave me the check, I came back to her like, well, this is not the agreement, that we had. And then she said, well, I don't have my account here. I can pull out this amount each day from the ATM. She was trying to live up to what she said, which was get me the cash.
Mr. Simmons, you're ridiculous. You got the check cashed, right? You got the check cashed.
I eventually got the check cashed.
Pay attention. You got the check cashed, and you spent the $1,000, or you saved the $1,000, right?
Yes.
The extra $50 was not a bonus for you. You owe $350 so far from August 14th to September 14th. $300 because I don't think she has to stay with you, because I don't think that you had any grounds to serve her a 30-day notice, actually, because you didn't like her attitude.
Well, Your Honor.
I'm speaking.
Okay.
Plus, you owe her $50, which she gave you in cash because she expected you to return that $50 for her once you cashed the check, because you were clearly short of money. That's another $50. That's $700. Anything else?
I had
a water what?
It was a water pitcher, and I had also given him some other items, but I had brought a water pitcher for us to use because he was buying bottled water. So I said, hey, I've got a water pitcher. I said, we can use that.
A pitcher?
Like a filter, that you put on a counter and stuff. It was a gift for my mom, but I take it with me. And this was the filter, and he apparently threw it away. He said he couldn't get it to
Anything else?
No,
good. Okay, your counterclaim is for what nonsense? You have 30 seconds.
All right. She threatened several times to call the police in this matter. There's nothing criminal going on.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. That's all. You weren't arrested, were you, sir?
No, but I didn't. All right.
Parties are excused, you may step out.
Well, the situation was, with the police was when we came into the discrepancy about the money.
I just really hate that people can lie and...
It's a matter that's not criminal, but she threatened to call the police. And
that was unicorns and fairy corn. I don't know.
It's something that shouldn't, you shouldn't play like that.
I don't know where he pulled that one from.
But that's what she decided to do because that's the kind of person she is.
Bottom line, I'll stick with the hotels from now.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Locust, Tomlinson versus Braitman. Step forward.
Joseph Locust and his partner Everald Tomlinson are suing Wedding of their deposit.
Mr. Locust, you hired the defendant to be the DJ at your daughter's wedding.
Yes, ma'am.
The wedding was supposed to take place when?
July 3rd.
How did you find him?
My friend Keith has an annual barbecue in the summer, and he hired a DJ. On 2 occasions that I attended, 2012 and 13, he was his company actually was the one he hired. The name of the company at the time was Best DJ.
Is that still the name of your company?
That was never the name of my company, Your Honor.
Okay.
But I do know who he's talking about.
Okay. Were you ever there?
I was never there. I sent my guys there. I handle all the weddings and stuff like that.
So you just do weddings, and the smaller venues you have other people to do?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, got it. How long have you been in business?
8 years now.
And on what date did you hire him?
April 3rd.
And you gave him a deposit?
I did.
How much?
$500 check deposit.
And the full amount of his services was?
$900.
Do you have a contract with him, by the way?
I do have a contract.
I'd like to see it. Thank you. Okay, this contract is very clear and signed, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. This is your problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This is a very important day the locals have to do on the day of the wedding with no DJ.
My complaint is if the venue requires a document from the vendor that I hired, then he should provide that.
No, they require insurance for the vendor.
Yes.
The vendor may have insurance, but if the vendor doesn't have insurance or chooses not to use his insurance, unless it says something about insurance in here, he's not required to provide the venue anything. That's an additional obstacle for his service. You can get insurance for the evening for him. That's possible.
Well, may I say something, Your Honor?
Absolutely. Dryer.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Joseph Locust and his partner Everald Tomlinson say wedding DJ Michael Braitman owes for the return of their deposit. Michael is countersuing for lost wages.
Now, this is your contract. Your contract provides that he is going to perform for a certain number of hours for a certain fee. There is a non-refundable deposit, and you could have found this all out very easily. You took the venue also in April or before April?
Well, I didn't have anything to do with the venue. It was my daughter's mother who got the venue.
Okay. So if your responsibility and yours, if you were coordinating with her...
No, it wasn't no coordination there.
Well, that's not his fault.
I understand.
Because if you said, I'll provide the music, and I'll pay for the cigars, and I'll pay for the liquor, and your former wife didn't tell you that they require insurance, then that's a communications problem that you have, that you can't visit on him. Because, believe me, I've made a lot of weddings, and I know that at weddings they require you to have insurance for people who are going to come in to do the wedding. I probably didn't know that the first time, but I certainly knew it the second time.
I didn't know either.
Well, but that's not his problem. That's your problem and your daughter's mother's problem for not communicating that to you, so that you could have just as easily put in this agreement that Mr. Braitman will provide a certificate of insurance by June the 3rd to, what's the name of the venue? Antoine's?
Antoine's.
Antoine's. That's easy. Sign it, and it's part of the contract.
But that's his signature.
Yes, but do you have a different contract?
He has the contract
No, did you?
I signed. That's his
Just
copy.
a second. Do you have your copy?
That's the copy I have.
Fine. Do you see anything here about... This is the entire written form of your agreement. Laid out 7 p.m. to 12 p.m., the date, the rate, overtime rate, $200 an hour. Everything is listed. And if there was a necessity of having insurance, you really should have had that as part of your deal. By the way, just for my own information, do you have insurance?
Yes, ma'am. I'm fully insured.
Of course,
I'm fully insured. I do this every weekend.
If so, is there
He just didn't have the patience to wait. They require insurance 30 days prior, not before that, you know, in case your insurance gets canceled or anything like that. He kept on calling. I kept explaining to him, I'm insured. I will get them. I have a lot of weddings before yours, but they will get the insurance. He fired me.
Well, he can't do that. So he owes you. What?
He was only let go after the required time that Antoine gave him to produce it.
No, Antoine has no contractual relationship with him. The only one that has a contractual relationship with him is you.
And on maybe about 3 or 4 occasions, he said he was going to provide it. I'm going to do it today. I'm going to do it the next day.
I don't care.
It just never materialized.
It doesn't matter if he never provided it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Closed captioning sponsored by.
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
I can sort of almost assure you, sir, that he would have, man has been in business a long time, at least several years, according to you, because you saw some other of his employees or his contractors perform at functions where you attended. So he's been in business a long time. That's his business.
He has changed the name 3 times. This is the 3rd time he changed his name in his business.
Listen, it's not relevant. This is the only thing that's relevant. And if, as part of his contract, he had to have insurance, it should have been in the agreement. Not every venue requires insurance. You were at Cousins' barbecues in the backyard. I guarantee you that they did not require insurance from him. But he knows he has to have insurance. Anyway, you canceled. Your contract specifically provides for that judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $400. Thank you.
Thank you,
Parties are excused when they step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And on the next Judge Judy.
The victim of a careless painter, or was he trying to brush her off?
Did you attempt to put a lien on the house?
I did.
Then we have the story about the broken chandelier. Doesn't pass the sniff test.
Judge Judy.
It was a fair decision. Everything was written on the contract.
I was trying to give my daughter the best day of her life.
I was fully insured. There's time frames when the hoes need the insurance. Being in the business for over 8 years, I do understand.
And I'm disappointed.
He hired a professional and didn't let me do my job.
It didn't jeopardize it because I hired somebody else that did the job.
He definitely was trying to find someone that's less expensive than me, and that's what he did.
Say that she broke a chandelier.
The victim of a careless painter?
She showed me a box of the stuff she had broken. She was in tears.
Well, what I see is a whole bunch of crystals here.
They had fallen on the floor.
Or was he trying to brush her off?
I did a lot of additional work.
Did you attempt to put a lien on the house?
I did.
Then we have the story about the broken chandelier. Doesn't pass the sniff test.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Alan Ansari is suing artist Kathy Hines for damaging a chandelier while she was painting the inside of his home.
Order. All rise. It's case number 263 on the calendar in the matter of Ansari versus Hines.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Ansari, you hired the defendant in contract?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see the written contract. Well, some of this looks as if it's been gone over. So I would like to see a not gone over copy of it, please. Okay, so the entire project was $3,975. There was a $1,900 deposit, is that correct?
Correct.
Which you were paid. And when you finished, there was to be the final payment of $1,975.
Yes.
When did you start the work?
I started on June 1st.
Okay, great. Now, where did you find the defendant Sir.
She has a Facebook, and she posts all the work she finishes on...
So you found her on Facebook?
Yes, her work.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a diamond importer.
So you're a businessman?
Yes, ma'am.
So I assume, sir, that you asked for references?
No, I did not.
Well, wouldn't that be common sense for you to do?
Well, since all her work was on, every time she finishes, sufficient for me to hire her.
I worked for him before.
Oh, well, he left that out.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. When did you work for him before?
I worked for him in 2009.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, why didn't you tell me that?
She painted a wall black.
I don't care what she did. She worked for you.
Yes, she did.
Okay, so you were familiar with her work.
Not really. At that time, I hired her to do my wall painted black.
In
That's
his showroom.
Totally different.
And I did all the showrooms.
Just a second.
Sorry.
That was a totally different job, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Ansari, we're not going to play with each other, sir.
Okay.
This is what your claim is. You claim that the defendant, while she was working, damaged a chandelier. Was this in your home or an office?
My house.
And it's a very exotic chandelier. You want $1,900, which happens to be the exact amount of money that you gave her to faux paint the walls in the house. She has a counterclaim because she says you're just a scam artist. And while you gave her $1,900, when she told you she wanted the balance, she was finished with the work. And how did she communicate with you that she wanted to come by and pick up her final check? How did she communicate that to you?
Okay, Friday around 5 o'clock.
Friday the what?
Friday 26th or 27th.
Working for the month.
Less than that.
Approximately a month.
That's fine.
Was she there every day?
Not every day.
Not Saturday and Sunday. Was she there Monday
through Saturdays too?
Just a second.
Your Honor, she took a few days off.
Was she there most days, Mr. Ansari? So
Yes,
far,
Your
we're
Honor.
not happy with you. I'm not happy with your answer, sir. You understand me?
Yes.
So she was there most of the month of June,
Yes.
working. And the agreed upon price was $39.75.
Yes, Your Honor.
So on the 26th of June, she communicated to you that she wanted to come to pick up her final check. How did she communicate that?
There. It was that day right there. I'm on my way. He's telling me, yes, 5 minutes, I'm on my way. Because he had me waiting. And the dates are all there. And then it jumps up to the Saturday, the day before.
There you go.
Who's the blue?
He's the blue. I actually...
Well, what does he owe you $2,700 for?
I did a lot of other additional work. I have the invoices.
I don't care. Unless it's in here, in this contract, it doesn't exist.
Even if I have photos of it all, of the work, and him texting me to do it, there's instruction for him telling me to do different
This is
work.
the contract. It doesn't make sense here. It doesn't pass the sniff test.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Tell me what she said to you.
She had him in a box. She had tears in her eyes,
Yeah.
telling me that she broke the chandelier and she had put everything in a paint box.
And later today,
I asked you, what did you buy the car for?
Bought it for resale.
Usually when you buy and sell cars without titles, there's a reason. And very often it's not a legal reason.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Alan Ansari says artist Kathy Hines damaged a chandelier while she was working in his home. Kathy is countersuing for the cost of painting.
Okay, are you telling me you came home and she's in tears because all these crystals are broken, which these are not, all over the floor, and tell me what she said to you.
She had him in a box. She says, Alan, I'm so sorry. She was sitting on my front yard. She'd never came back
Just
for
a
a
second.
job.
Oh my God. Just a second. I'm listening to the story.
Yes.
She's sitting in your front yard with a box of crystals.
And
yes.
tears in her eyes,
Yes.
telling me that she broke the chandelier and she had put everything in a paint box.
And?
That's it. She says, I'm responsible for it, but at that point, we did not know.
It was already broken. I had a scaffold there. I have all the pictures. It's way up there. You can see in the pictures how high it is. I
can't see in this picture. All I see in this picture
I'll
are
show you the
crystals that
chandelier.
look like...
He texted me to paint the rest. That's me on a scaffold.
I don't see anybody on a scaffold here.
That's me. Anyway, it was already broken, and I said, I've got the scaffold
Just a
up
second.
there.
It was broken where? I see the... Is this the fixture?
This is the picture. I actually took a picture of the broken piece, and I ordered the part, which is dated 6/23.
May I see
a
that,
week
please?
before he's claiming I was crying on his front porch. Here, I'll get you a better... This is the scaffold, ma'am. That's me up there.
So what part was broken?
The Bobachet. This is it. It's a $21 part.
I see. This piece where it looks like the candle goes in.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
This is what was broken, and I said I'd order it because I had the scaffold. I'd get my electrician to fix it.
So this was the piece that was broken?
Correct. This piece right here, the Bobachet.
When you left the job, where was the chandelier?
It was hanging in it was the same spot it was. And then when he got home, he said he forgot his checkbook and comes to office on Monday.
I absolutely believe you. Now, did you attempt to put a lien on the house?
I did.
Okay. Then we have the story about the broken chandelier.
Correct.
I got the whole thing. On your counterclaim, I'm awarding you $1,975. Your case is dismissed, sir.
I can't believe she did not buy my story about their broken chandelier.
Judge Judy knew he was lying. He was lying through the whole thing.
She left the job unfinished, the foyer.
My work is up there with the best.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Triplett versus Resendez. Step forward.
25-year-old Chelsea Triplett is suing Robert Resendez for the return of money she paid for a car.
Mr. Resendez, what kind of work do you do?
Body and paint work, and I sell cars.
When did you come into possession of the car that you sold to the plaintiff?
It happened about a year and a half ago. I had purchased it.
From whom?
From, I forget the girl's name, from Hamilton, Indiana.
Where do you live?
I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
You purchased the car from her for what purpose?
I buy and sell cars without titles all the time because I
didn't ask you that question. I asked you, what did you buy the car for? In order to sell or for your own personal use?
No, bought it for resale.
Usually when you buy and sell cars without titles, there's a reason. And very often it's not a legal reason. You buy and sell cars without titles sometimes because they're stolen cars. They're salvaged cars. You hold on to them when somebody doesn't pick them up after you've done work on them. There are a whole lot of reasons why you may. You advertised this car. Did you advertise it?
I put it on Craigslist.
That's advertising it. Have you ever been incarcerated?
Yes, I have.
When was the last time you were incarcerated?
That's probably been 15 years ago.
For what?
Dealing drugs.
So you understand what I'm talking about? Sure you do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When you sold her the car, what you just said to me was, when you finish making the payments, I'll give you the title. That's what you said. That's the only thing that you said today that I believe.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Chelsea Triplett says Robert Resendez defrauded her when he sold her a car that had no title.
Okay. You saw the ad on Craigslist when, Miss Triplett?
Actually, I had posted on Craigslist inquiring because I was in the market for getting a car, and he responded to my ad and then had given me his phone number, and I had called him.
Okay. What were the parameters of what you were looking for?
I was looking for a car that I could put a little money down on and make payments every time I had gotten paid.
That's an unusual thing to do, because, and I assume you wanted to do that because you didn't have great credit.
Well, it was a mix between that and I didn't have any money saved up, and the car that I had, the engine had just blown, so the most that I could do would scrap it.
So the only money that you had to put down was the money from scrapping the car.
Right.
And how much was that?
$350.
And what kind of car was Mr. Resendez selling?
It was a 2005 Chevy Malibu.
And did you look up the Blue Book value of the car?
Yes, and it had actually been about $2,400, and he was asking for $3,000. I didn't think the difference was too much.
So he was asking for $3,000?
Yes, and I made the total payments in $3,000.
Did he meet with you?
We had met with one of his colleagues that he had done, like, car shopping with or whatever he does, because if I needed it that day, which it was my only day off of work, I had to meet with someone else. So he had sent them with the promissory note and the vehicle to take the money from me.
Okay. Can I see the paperwork that he gave you?
Yes. I have this, and then after I had received the vehicle, I had talked to an officer to do a VIN check on it to make sure it wasn't stolen, and then I had to send paperwork to him for an odometer reading.
Who wrote this out?
He did.
Is that right?
I had a friend that she purchased the car through.
I wasn't there when she picked up the car and did the deal.
No, you weren't there, but you had spoken to her.
Yes, I did.
Right. And somebody else went in
Correct.
your stead to deliver the car.
Yes.
Right? Okay. What else did he tell you about this car?
He had told me that he had just purchased it and that once I was done making payments to him that he would give me the title to the car. I had tried to go to the BMV.
Did he tell you that?
Yes, he did. And even after I made my last payment to him, I contacted him the same day I made the payment, and he said that he would have to look for the title. And then a week later, he said that he didn't have the title, he would have to apply for a lost one. And then it was just kind of excuse after excuse. When it came out, it wasn't to him.
Are you still driving the car now?
No, I can't drive it. I can't plate or register the vehicle.
Where is the vehicle?
Sitting in my driveway. I have told him, just come exchange me money for the vehicle, you can take it. I told him when he told me there was a lien on the title.
You have anything that you want to say to me, Mr. Resendez?
Yes, I do. At the time I was buying cars, I have a salvage license that gives me the authority to buy and sell cars without titles. I buy them all the time like that. But as time went on and we had talked, I had told her the car was as until it was paid off, which she was making her payments. But towards the end, when I notified her and told her I couldn't get it, I told her I would give her so much money for the car because she has used it for over a year. So I figured $500 was more than fair.
You mean to give her?
I was going to buy the car back.
For $500?
That's all, because she had driven it for over a year and a half. And she turned that down. And then I tried to explain to her that I couldn't get the title, and here's the other catch. The girl that I purchased the car from bought a new car from Glenbrook Dodge, gave them the real titles to her car, and she owes that car to Glenbrook Dodge.
Let me explain something to you. You're going to get your $3,000 back. But you're going to get that back when you file a criminal complaint against him in Indiana.
Okay.
Because I think he's a scam artist.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, so you're going to get your money back when I see proof of a criminal complaint that you file against him. Do you understand?
Yes.
It's easy, unless you want to give her money back and take your car.
I'm not giving her no money.
Perfect.
The car's not worth it.
A criminal complaint that you file, and I want you to lay out for the district attorney. We'll even give you a copy of this tape, because this isn't the first time he did this. He knows it, and I know it. And he knows, and I know, that when you took possession of this car, it was under fraudulent misrepresentation. He took your money fraudulently because he knew that he didn't have the title.
She knew it at the same time?
No, that's not what you just told me, sir. What you just told me was initially you told her, when you finish making your payments, I'll give you the title. That's what you just told me. And then you said, well, then, as time went on, I didn't have the title, and I found out this, and I found out that. But initially, when you sold her the car, what you just said to me was, when you finish making the payments, I'll give you the title. That's what you said. That's the only thing that you said today that I believe. You got it?
That's fine.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all. File the complaint. You get your money.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy...
Hired to build a home for pet turtles.
The wall has never, ever been put up properly. The tortoise will always try to... He died in the debris.
Next Judge Judy.
I don't feel that the car's worth $3,000 after a year and a half of using it.
I couldn't drive the car. I didn't have a plate to put on the car.
I'll still sell cars with or without titles.
He hasn't talked to me in about 6 months because he keeps ignoring my calls.
I'm not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed.
I have no hard feelings.
This is not my expertise, and clearly not yours.
Hired to build a home for pet turtles.
It was to be a 3-day job.
How long did it take, Mr. Wheeler?
Far too long, more than a month.
How much did you pay him?
$5,000.
But the habitat was not hospitable.
The wall has never, ever been put up properly. The tortoise will always try to get out, and that's exactly what happened. He flipped trying to get out. Barney died in the debris.
Judge Judy. You
are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Debbie Ritchie is suing landscape architect Bruce Wheeler for unfinished and substandard work on her home.
Order. All rise. Yeah, it's case number 264 on the calendar in the matter of Ritchie versus seated. Ma'am, sir, have a seat.
Miss Ritchie, I gather that you found, am I correct, found some rather large tortoises?
Barney was my friend's tortoise, and he was in a small area, and I had a large yard, so I agreed to take him.
Okay, so one you adopted?
Yes.
But you had two?
Yes, I had two. I had two, yes.
You had two already?
I still have one. Barney died, and I still have one.
Okay, so you only had two?
Yes.
Now, do you have a picture of these tortoises? Are they tortoises, turtles? What are they?
Yes, they're desert tortoises.
How big do they get?
Barney was about 40 pounds.
So
he was
pretty
19
big.
years old, yes.
And the other one, how big?
She's maybe 20 pounds. She's small.
Did you buy her?
I adopted Barney from my friend Mickey, and I rescued Pebbles. She needed a home.
How did you, I'm just curious, how did you find her as a rescue?
I'm a flight attendant, and another flight attendant had found her and asked if I could take her, and I agreed.
Okay, you have any other pets?
Yes, I do. I have many pets.
Many?
Many.
How many?
38.
What variety?
Cats, dogs, tortoises, fish.
You live in a large house?
Yes.
Who else lives with you?
I do rescue work. I live by myself.
Who helps take care of the animals when you're working?
I have an amazing pet sitter and also my friend Mickey.
Okay. Now, you hired Mr. Wheeler to build a turtle and...
Yes.
Do you have a photograph of what you had in mind when you hired Mr. Wheeler?
No, I simply described to him what I wanted. I wanted the whole yard sectioned off with a retaining wall. It had to be a minimum of 18 inches high so the turtle couldn't get out. I wanted a tortoise house, a tortoise pond, and then we were going to have edible plants for Barney to eat and live off of, and it would be landscaped.
Barney and your tortoise?
Yes, Pebbles.
Okay.
Barney was able to come in through the doggy door. And so for 3 days when I'd be in Japan, Barney would be in the house, and that's what started all of this. So I consulted with a very well-known and well-respected arborist. She came to the house, said she couldn't do the job, but that she referred me to Bruce Wheeler.
Fine. Very good. And did you draw up a contract with him?
I never got a contract.
So you didn't have a written contract?
I have plans, though.
Okay. Who drew up those plans?
Bruce did.
I'd like to see them. Because this case involves you want your money back, you're not happy with the result.
I have lots of pictures of my yard before.
I'm going to take a look.
Okay.
Where were your other animals going to be?
Well, I have 2 older dogs, and they were going to be on this side of the fence. There was room
So you
for
were
them.
taking half your property?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The wall goes through the
And
house.
how much was Mr. Wheeler going to charge you for this project?
It was $5,000.
Is that correct, Mr. Wheeler?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay him?
$1,000.
So you paid him while he was working, or did you pay him the entire amount up front?
He was paid $2,500 the first day. He was paid $1,500 the second day to pay the workers. And the third day, he was paid the final balance of $1,000, saying that if I didn't give it to him, he couldn't finish the job.
Okay. Now, can I see the yard before and after?
Yes. Included in the pictures are
And
the
this
tortoise
job
house.
took Mr. Wheeler 3 days?
No, it was to be a 3-day job.
How long did it take, Mr. Wheeler?
Far too long, more than a month. Collectively, over 30 days after we came back to repair some of the details that needed to be corrected.
That's my house before. That's the tortoise house.
I'd like to see it finished.
Yeah, there's a picture in there that shows it finished.
Mr. Wheeler, can you give me the names of the people that you built these sort of habitats for?
Clarification, other people or?
Yes, other people.
Meaning?
Have you ever built one of these habitats for anyone else?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'd
Only
want the name
two, I
of
believe.
I'd like the name of the person and what kind of habitat you built for them.
Not a turtle habitat, Your Honor, but a shade structure for some dogs, very similar to that in a corner. So
no, that's a whole different thing.
And then the rest of the pictures are showing that the wall was put up upside down, and then the last pictures of how he left my yard 5 months ago. All those pictures are finished, yes. That's how he left it, yes.
And what is this wall?
That was the wall that he put up upside down. You can see it's leaning, and that's the back of it. You can see that the tortoise will always try to get out and flip, and that's exactly what happened. He flipped trying to get out on the ledge. They were the wrong blocks. They should have been straight-edged blocks.
I see that they're not straight-edged blocks.
Right.
Why is this crooked?
yes, thank you.
Why is it crooked? Is my question. Not yes, thank you. Why is it
I'll
crooked?
try to explain that. There's a foundation. The first layer is put to level. and then you stack them. They're interlocking blocks. They're called like keystone pavers, where they stack. So we put the first foundation all in correctly, and then methodically began the next course. The laborers that were doing it were off to a great start, and they did make a mistake. Instead of the block this way, they did have them upside down, not backwards, and it was a mistake, which we, and came back and corrected it completely. So they were installed.
Just a second. Where were you?
I was working in the corner on a turtle habitat while the guys were simultaneously building a wall so we could finish.
But Mr. Wheeler, honestly, sir, if you're there supervising this work, and this is not a small little area, it's your construction, you say, hold on a second, guys, before you put on the third row, this is upside down. I mean, you pick your head up from building the turtle enclosure. This is not my expertise, and clearly not yours. I assume you're showing me this because the cement was pouring out on the grass.
Thank you.
He acknowledges that this was all put in incorrectly.
But he never put the wall up correctly, ever. He came back on June 1st to start it, and he was there a few hours and he left. He never came back. The wall has never, ever been put up properly.
I'd like you to show me a picture of what your lawn looks like now.
The last picture in there, you just see soil put in the trench. That's all I've been able to afford to do, and I put bark around my trees. That's it. I don't have the funds.
Did you take down the wall?
Yes, I had to hire someone to remove the blocks, and those blocks that you see in the garage, I had to pay to have someone put them in the garage. I've had to pay someone to haul them away, and now they're being donated to a rescue because I couldn't get anybody to pay. That is how he left my yard. That's the end result 5 months ago, and I've never...
Anything else you want to say to me, Mr. Wheeler?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Well, utterly disagree. The actual facts are the first foundation block was put in correctly, and when the guys did begin the second course of blocks installing them, it was going along, and they did have them upside down. The reason that I didn't see that happening, simultaneously trying to build an enclosure, which was very detailed, and we were taking our time, and what happened was I got a phone call, and an 84-year-old parent had suffered a fall and broken ribs and was in the ICU. And I said, I need to drive 5 hours north, get to a hospital. That was the reason for probably not supervising and seeing that.
Well, then that's your problem. That's not her problem. That's all very...
And I returned and fixed it.
That's all unfortunate. You did not fix it. You did not fix it because I saw the pictures of you not fixing it, and you owe her $5,000. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We came back and corrected it to perfection. She didn't like it.
He didn't do the job to my satisfaction or what was on the plans.
And she tore it down, and we went above and beyond. It was a charity job.
I went out and told him several times, and he told me to stay out of the yard.
She'd come out crying or screaming or yelling or micromanaging.
He knew what he was doing, and I was banned from my yard. I had to watch from the window.
Totally incorrect, inaccurate.
I'm excited. Justice was served for Barney, who I lost in this tragic incident.
We tried, but some people are incapable of being satisfied with anything.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Villavesas versus Turner Sankoff. Step forward.
James Villavesas is suing Victor Sankoff and Betty Turner for the return of money he paid them for an adult Pekingese.
Mr. Villavesas, you want your money back from the defendants for a dog. I assume this is the dog that you purchased from them. The defendants say you purchased the dog. There was nothing wrong with the dog. The dog's nuts. And you're not entitled to your money back. Is that what we have?
Yes.
Okay. This clearly is an adult dog, Pekingese?
Yes.
And I gather from your papers that you had had a Pekingese before.
I've had 5 of them that I raised from puppyhood, 40 years worth.
And on what date did you purchase this dog?
July 5. It was the end of the 3-day dog show. It was the last hour as everybody's pulling out of the parking lot.
So you went there for the particular purpose, I assume, of finding a dog the last day?
Yes, because the last one of mine had died.
Well,
and I wanted to replace it.
But you went there the last day of the dog show?
Oh, no, I was there the whole dog show.
But decided not to purchase until the last day?
Well, I was with the couple 2 of the days, almost the whole dog show. There was a chair there, and I sat, and I got to know them and talk to them as much as I knew.
Okay, and you saw the dog?
Yes, but not the whole action of the dog.
Well, you saw the dog?
The dog.
And you like this dog?
Yeah, I had about 10 minutes to...
That's your problem.
Yeah, that's right.
That's your problem,
yes.
sir. So you saw this dog, not another dog that they told you about. You saw this dog. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. And I had 10 minutes to make my mind up, and that's not enough because I got the dog home, and I bought an adult dog because at my age I didn't want to raise another one from. I wanted an adult dog, and I wanted it because it had already been housebroken, leash trained, and somewhat hospitable. And this dog was none of those.
Well, then you should have taken the dog out on a leash before you bought it, not 10 minutes.
Not on a leash. It was not on a leash when I bought it.
Just a second. You should. You're not following me, sir.
Yes.
I can make this either difficult or easy.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you were taken off and dropped off in the middle of the Solomon Islands or Papua New Guinea, I guarantee you would be running around in circles and in the kitchen.
Closed captioning is provided by...
Here at Humana, we value sticking with things. When something works, people stick with it. More people stick with Humana Medicare Advantage because we stick with them. Humana Medicare Advantage, the plan people stick with.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. James Villavesta scammed him over the sale of an adult Pekingese. James says the dog went crazy once he got it home. The defendants are countersuing for harassment.
Now, did you have a written contract that said that the dog was housebroken, leash-trained, calm? Certainly the dog is very calm unless it's been drugged. No, the answer is, of course, you didn't. Yeah. So then what you do if you buy an animal and you say you've had 5 that you bought from puppyhood, if you are good at that, what you do is usually you go to the house or you go, if you're buying it from a pet place, you go in a room and you sit down with it and you check out the personality as best as you can, and then you do a lot of this when you get home. Because sometimes what you see in the pet shop or the breeder's house or another person's house is very different from what you're going to get when you go home.
Well, I had 10 minutes to do all that, and they were leaving.
Clearly, you had much more time to do that, sir, if you wanted it, because you could have said, I'm not taking the dog. I don't have enough time to spend with it to see if it's the kind of animal that suits me.
They were leaving, and they live in Victorville.
You can tell me anything that you want, but I'm telling you is nobody twisted your arm to buy this dog.
No, they didn't.
And then you got the dog home.
And it went crazy.
Well, it certainly...
It ran around in circles. It in the house. It hid. In fact, the reason I called him to come and help me was the dog disappeared overnight. And so I thought it broken out to the backyard, which is all enclosed. And I called the dog's name, nothing. And finally at 11, I got tired, went to bed. The next day, the dog's still not there. And I got in the kitchen, and so Victor and Betty came in and said, oh, you're just not patient enough.
How old is the dog?
She's 3.
And the reason I wanted an adult dog is so I didn't have to go through all those trials.
Has the dog always been with you?
Yes.
No, we bought her at the age of 7 months.
Well, for the last 2.5 years,
yes.
And she's lived with you.
Always with us.
And lived with you in your house?
Yes.
Did you ever use her for breeding purposes? Did she ever have a litter?
She was a strictly pet. Oh, we bought it? Does a show quality?
Oh, so you showed her?
Correct.
But you never bred her?
Never.
Okay. Well, these are people who had the dog for 2.5 years, and then the dog is taken out of their home into your home, and that dog would clearly not fare well, at least for a period of time, sir. If you were taken off and dropped off in the middle of the Solomon Islands or Papua New Guinea, I guarantee you would be running around in circles and in the kitchen.
But I have friends have dogs, and they've come to visit, and they're very kind. They just sit there, and they don't run around.
Well, that's wonderful. You're not following me, and I don't know whether you're not following me on purpose or not.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They called me and said, you will get your $2,000 back for the dog as soon as your check cleared.
Who said that to you?
Betty.
Did you have that conversation with him?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. James Villaveses says Victor Sankoff and Betty Turner scammed him over the sale of an adult Pekingese. James says the dog went crazy once he got it home. The defendants are countersuing for harassment.
What I'm telling you is this was their pet for 2.5 years. After 10 minutes, according to you, you take the dog home, take it out of its crate. It's now in strange surroundings. It doesn't know you. You're not accustomed to it, and it's misbehaving. It's not behaving as you anticipated. Well, that doesn't mean that you're entitled to your money back unless you have some sort of a guarantee. I can take the dog home for 24 hours. I can take the dog home for 48 hours and see if I like the dog. And if I don't like the dog, then you will come and take basis to get your money back.
I was with them long enough to tell them that the reason I wanted an adult dog was because it had been trained. It was leash quality.
You don't know whether this dog is not trained. That's what I'm telling you.
They knew.
You know. You don't know, because I gather from their answer that they came back the next day to try to work with you with the dog.
And I took them to dinner.
I don't care.
Yeah, I know, but
I
still was trusting that this was going to work out.
But it didn't work out.
Didn't work out at all.
You have no legal basis to get your money back, because then you called them and said, come and get your dog.
And they did.
And they did.
All right. And then they come and take it, and then they would called me and said, you will get your $2,000 back for the dog as soon as your check cleared. My check cleared. I went to my bank, and the check is cleared. And
Just a minute. Who said that to you?
Betty.
Did you have that conversation with him?
Yes, I had a conversation with him. I told him that he would get a refund.
Okay, fine. Then that's...
It wasn't $2,000. He would get a refund.
Well, absolutely. One of the reasons that you purchased the dog, sir, is that you said you had 10 minutes because then they were going back to where they live, which is a far distance from where you live.
They were in Fillmore at the time.
I don't care where they were. They had to drive to come and get the dog. How many times?
First time, they said that I wasn't patient enough, and they took me to...
They came twice to your house. So they don't have to do that for nothing. Now, if Betty said that you were going to get a refund, I'm prepared to do that. But they have a counterclaim, and their counterclaim is for the time that they spent going and coming and picking up the dog because you made a poor decision. And they didn't want to leave their dog with you. Is the dog still with you now? Are you keeping the dog?
Yes.
You're keeping her.
And they counterclaimed for $2,400 for the time.
Well, that's ridiculous. How long did it take you to get to his house?
8 hours, back and forth, 4 hours.
From Fillmore is about 30 minutes away at the most.
To his house, to our house, to his house is 140 miles.
But she wasn't there. They were in Fillmore, visiting their friends.
Were you in Fillmore visiting?
I never been in Fillmore.
Well, you told me that you were going to come, and then it took you 30 minutes to get there from the phone call.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Mr. Villaveses, legally, you have no basis to get any money back for this dog. None. However, the defendant says that she told you that how much of a refund that was.
She'd say you get your money back.
Just a second. So I'm going to give you your $2,000 back because that's what you paid for the dog.
Yes.
Less $1,000 for their trouble in coming twice because you made a rash, unwise decision. So on your counterclaim, I'm awarding you $1,000. Therefore, sir, you get a net check in the amount of $1,000. Next time, judge more wisely. That's all. Thank you.
You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
He wanted nothing else to do with her. Next day, your car doesn't start.
Payback after a breakup?
Did your best friend give you a recipe what to put in this tank?
No.
You want to take a look at these?
Judge Judy.
The dog was trained by them, was not leash trained, it was not housebroken.
He had the problem to follow instructions.
Those are the two things I wanted, and they knew that already because I told them that before.
We simply told him, give her time, give her a chance. She'll come to you.
And they called the dog, the name is Fancy. I can call the dog, and it was just hid.
Give him a chance. Give him a time.
But I couldn't catch the dog, touch the dog. The dog was totally wild.
Is the key for any door.
Wanted nothing else to do with her. Next day, your car doesn't start.
Payback after a breakup.
Did your best friend give you a recipe, what to put in this tank?
No. I have text messages from them too, actually.
And these friends like to talk.
You want to take a look at these? You want to explain them to me?
No, because I didn't do it.
You can't keep saying I didn't do it. Do you think he's smart enough to make that up?
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheinland. This is Judge Judy.
22-year-old Jordan Booth is suing his ex-girlfriend, 20-year-old Janae Davis, for vandalizing his car.
Order. All rise. Yeah, it's case number 247 on the calendar, the matter Booth versus Davis.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Booth, your case is relatively simple. Your proof may be less than simple. But this is what I gather. Miss Davis is your former girlfriend, and according to what I read, you went over to her house and there was another guy there. You went home and wanted nothing else to do with her. Next day, you go to start your car and the car doesn't start. You had it towed to a mechanic, and then you discovered, according to you, that you believed that Miss Davis had vandalized your car by pouring some sort of stuff in the gas tank, which destroyed the motor. You want her to be financially responsible for that. Miss Davis says it's very unfortunate that your car got all screwed up because of somebody putting stuff in the gas tank, but it was not her. So let us start with the assumption that your car didn't work after you blocked Miss Davis's number from your phone, okay?
Okay.
And let us assume that you have a mechanic here. You a mechanic?
Yes.
Who's going to tell me that the reason that your car didn't start was because there was something in the gas tank?
I have receipts, documents here.
Oh, I'd like to take a look at them.
From my mechanic.
I'd like to take a look at them. What year car is this?
2003 Buick Century.
Did you pay $4,100 to have it fixed?
No, actually, no. It's still sitting on the mechanic's lot as we speak. That's how much it would be to get my car back on this.
When did you buy the car?
When I went to the auction to get it from you.
And how much did you pay for it?
It was almost about $4,000 as well, yeah.
How much did you pay for it?
$4,000.
Okay. So let's start with the premise that your car did have substances poured in the gas tank. What proof do you have that the defendant did it?
I have text messages from them too, actually. That's where they came from.
From the defendant?
From, yeah, her witness. She helped me get the evidence built against her. And I also have voice recordings as well.
I'd like to hear them. I'd like to see the text messages and hear them.
The text messages are also in that manila envelope I gave you, behind the pictures of the vehicle.
Where's your phone?
The phone is here.
I'd like to see it from the phone.
The text messages or the voice recording?
Both.
Okay.
So whichever one you like.
Slide to the right.
Okay. Who's that?
My best friend.
Did your best friend give you a recipe, what to put in his tank?
No.
Well, where did you get the idea from?
Well, I didn't even do it, so...
Well, you want to take a look at these? You want to explain them to me?
No, because I didn't do it.
You can't keep saying I didn't do it. This suggests that your friend gave you certain... First name?
Paulina.
When did you start to have discussions with Miss Davis about putting stuff in his car?
That never happened.
So there were never any emails, text messages exchanged?
I don't even believe text messages are viable proof. Could he prove that?
I didn't ask you that question. I asked you, explain these text messages to me.
I haven't seen them.
I'm going to show them to you.
Janae still has that phone number on the top left corner.
Explain it. Now you've looked at them, refreshed your recollection, now explain them to me.
I didn't say any of this.
You didn't?
No.
You mean, you think he's smart enough to make that up?
I mean, anybody...
My question is, you think he's smart enough to make that up?
Not really smart, but...
I'd like to hear the voice message.
If you return my phone, I can... Yes.
Who is it from?
It was from Helena talking to Janae.
These two people talking?
These two people talking.
How did you come into possession of that?
After I went over Helena house on August 2nd, that's the day I built evidence against Janae. That day and that night, she also gave her a phone, and she specifically asked her questions that I was curious of. And
how do you know her?
Helena is pretty much my cousin. My mother dated her uncle for several years.
It doesn't make you a cousin.
We were raised.
We was raised together, so we pretty much was.
So you know each other.
We know each other.
Yeah. Through family.
Through family, yeah.
And what brought you over to her house on August 2nd?
I was working that day, that Saturday, and I get an instant message from Helena. It's pretty much saying, Jordan, you know, you should give Janae another chance. She misses you a lot, and everybody deserves a second chance. And at the time, I was like, you know, I don't really care for her right now. I don't want nothing to do with her. I'm pretty much, you know, I got other things on my mind, including my vehicle, you know, struggling on how I was going to get that figured out. And, you know, the conversation pretty much went on about Helena trying to have me pursue Janae. But after I got done with the instant messages on Facebook, I received a phone call from a random number. Answered it, happened to be Helena. And she tells me, she says, Jordan, that was not me on Facebook. That was actually Janae. She begged and begged me to give her my information to get a hold of you. And you should have known, because since we're family, something like family, and when you asked to drop the situation, you should have known that was me. So I'm upset. That's why I'm calling you, because before I gave her my information, I told her it's cool for you to talk to him through my page. Just do not argue with him or anything of that nature.
Just a minute. I don't understand all of this cyberspace connection.
Okay.
She had to give the defendant her information?
I had blocked Janae from everything.
With you how?
Through her instant message on Facebook, through her Facebook page.
Through Helena's Facebook page?
She got a hold of me through Helena's Facebook.
Okay. And then you went over to her house?
Well, it's more to it, because like I said, I received a phone call from a random number, and it was Helena. She was describing to me that, Jordan, I'm upset because she did, you know, argue with you, and it happened to be her. She used her Facebook to talk to me. Janae did. And then this is my time. I never told Helena what my side of the story was, why I quitted Janae. After I described everything to Helena for the first time, she says, wow, Jordan, you know, she's been lying this whole time. You know, she put it like she caught you with a female. And at the time, I was using my brother and another lady friend of mine for rides all this summer. And the lady friend of mine actually happens to be an ex named Carmen. And Helena saw me in Walmart with Carmen. And she referred the information back to Janae that I was back with her, but I actually wasn't. And then,
oh my goodness, how old are you?
22.
Can I listen to the message, please? My head is beginning to go zhuzh. Can I just listen to the message? What?
All right, you want me to press?
I don't know, it's just a whole different world.
It's a whole different world. I just want to hear the conversation that these two...
Okay, yeah, it's just, you can press play, or do you want me to?
Whichever way I can hear it best.
Play it in his mic?
Try it.
Okay.
So I sent Justin a message I unblocked Justin and sent him a message, and then put unblock him back. I said this, I said, you know, Justin, I ain't been nothing but respectful towards you. Whatever you and Lena had going on had nothing to do with what I had. I said, yeah, I Jordan's car, and I was trying to pay a little back for what I did. But see, as he particularly was calling and texting my mother.
That's what it said. That's what it said. Now, why would you lie about something like that? Why would you lie about something like that?
She also tried to put spells on me.
Why would you lie? Hey, don't speak. Why would you lie about something like that? It's not an answer.
Does that even, like, at all in that message, does that say my name at all? That could have been anybody that he was messing with at that time.
No, it could have been, but it was you.
That's not proof at all.
Yeah, you don't think so? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,100. Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I never cheated on her because I made it aware that we was never together.
I have feelings for him. So
I never cheated, so.
Hearing about other females and stuff like that just kind of just blew my mind.
Oh, man, you know, luckily I stopped at a stop sign versus the intersection. Just started making a spitting, sputtering noise and just shut off.
Like, I don't think I should describe that. No comment.
Just, you know, it was crazy.
I am sorry. I really am.
Keep cars away from women, I guess, especially ones you care about or you drive, you know.
And now, the next
Garrett, step forward.
Carla Kirstead is suing her daughter, 19-year-old Kelsey Garrett, for unpaid rent and damaged property.
Miss Kirstead, this is your daughter.
Yes, it is.
She's 18. When's your birthday?
March 21st. I'm actually 19.
Okay. You and your daughter and your adult son signed a lease on a 3-bedroom apartment. Is it an apartment?
A house.
When?
On November 11th of 2014.
Your daughter was on the lease, correct?
Yes.
May I see a copy of the lease? So the entire rent on the property was $650. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm disabled.
For how long?
Since 2011.
What kind of work did you do before that?
I was a server, mostly restaurant work.
And how much do you receive from disability?
$733 a month.
And when you started receiving disability, did you see additional checks for your daughter?
No.
So it's impossible, actually, to support two people. She was a minor at the time. I don't know what your 30-year-old son does. Does he work?
Yes, he does.
All right, so he contributes to the household. What kind of work does he do?
He is a salary. Not a salary, just a weekly, bi-weekly paycheck.
He gets a bi-weekly paycheck?
Yes.
How much?
It varies, $500 to $600 every 2 weeks, maybe.
What do you do?
I'm a sales agent.
For whom?
Sirius XM's satellite radio.
You work full-time?
Yeah.
What do you earn?
I get about $200 a week. I get paid weekly.
And I assume this is the boyfriend. And what does he do?
He's a sales agent as well.
Same place? Mm-hmm. Where does he live?
We live together.
Okay, so this is what happened. You didn't like the boyfriend staying over, so you and your daughter had a fight.
Yes.
She left.
Yes.
And you want her to pay 13 weeks' rent?
Yes, ma'am.
You also claim that on the day she left, when you had the big fight, she damaged some property.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He was showering. He was using the utilities.
I don't care. Your Honor. I don't care.
But
you're not paying attention. You got one mouth and 2 ears for a reason.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carla Kirsten says her daughter, Kelsey Garrett, broke their lease and purposely damaged her property. Kelsey is countersuing for the return of a laptop and a cat.
Who's living in the house? Bought the house?
Yes.
Great. And you didn't look for another roommate?
No, Your Honor.
No. But the answer is you didn't.
No, I did not. In the events leading up to us renting this home, Kelsey and I shared a one-bedroom apartment. She had the bedroom. When my son moved back from Texas, we decided to all look for...
I don't care. All I asked you is, have you looked for another roommate?
No, ma'am, I have not.
And it's a 3-bedroom house?
Yes.
Well, under the circumstances of the fight with your daughter, first of all, there is nothing in this lease that precludes her from having her boyfriend stay over. And he evidently had his own place. Is that correct?
No, he was living with his parents at the time.
So at the time, he was living with his parents. Mm-hmm. And you were living with your mother.
Yeah.
And your family. Right. Did you ever stay over at his house?
Occasionally.
Okay, and he stayed over at your house?
Yeah.
Did he have all of his clothes and things at your house? No. So there's nothing in the lease that precludes her having her boyfriend stay over. Now, as a parent, you can say to her, this is my house, my rules, I pay the rent, you can't have sleepover company.
That's right.
But as a paying tenant, she can say, you could have a boyfriend stay over, my brother can have a girlfriend stay over, we're paying tenants, we each have our own room.
But she only paid $60 a week, and that
I don't care.
But, Your Honor, she signed the lease, and leading up to it, we agreed company.
Too bad. Whatever is contained in this lease, this is what binds you, because that's what you're suing on. You're suing on this lease. So if she decided to have a boyfriend sleep over, a girlfriend sleep over...
He was showering, he was using the utilities.
I don't care.
Your Honor.
I don't care.
But
you're not paying attention. You got one mouth and 2 ears for a reason. As a mother, if you were paying the rent, you... as the parent of an 18-year-old were paying the rent, and you want to set the rules of the house, and the rules of the house were, you cannot have sleepover company. Perfect. When I paid the rent, and I paid the mortgage, I said to the kids, my house, my rules.
And that's exactly what I did, but
no,
she didn't
my dear. No, my dear, you did not. You are suing her as a co-tenant and saying, because you have a contract, you owe me rent. So you're not suing her as a mother and daughter. You're suing her as a landlord.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She broke a signed Marilyn Monroe picture. The frame was broken. It was completely destroyed.
How does the picture get destroyed?
I'm not sure if she put her head through it or what.
Real people. Judge Judy. Carla Kirsten says her daughter, Kelsey Garrett, broke their lease and purposely damaged her property. Kelsey is countersuing for the return of a laptop and a cat.
We have an agreement together, and that's what I'm suing you on. And I'm here to tell you that this lease does not say that she can't have her boyfriend sleep over. So what I'm suggesting to you is, if you didn't want to have the boyfriend sleep over, you say to her, you don't have to pay rent anymore. I will pay your share of the rent. But these are my rules. My rules are, you can't have any overnight guests. Do you understand what I said to you?
Yes, I do understand.
Good, I'm glad, because that's my ruling. That's my ruling.
But, Your Honor...
I don't care, but don't give me a but. It's crystal clear to me, and it should be crystal clear to you. If you are charging your daughter, who works, rent, and you don't work, and you're not prepared to say, children, I paid the rent, I make the rules. It's not what you're saying to her. You say to her, you pay the rent, and I make the rules. Because the landlord didn't make those rules. You did.
But he's not on the lease.
He doesn't have to be on the lease.
No one else was supposed to have overnight guests.
Show me where it says that. That part of your claim is dismissed. Now, you have your daughter's laptop?
Yes.
You have to return it. And you have 5 days to return it. And it better be in good condition. Now, do you want your cat?
Yes, I do.
Do you have her cat?
I do have. She abandoned the cat.
Well, tell me when she left. And that was on what date?
January 15th of 2015.
Where is the cat now?
At my home.
Do you like the cat?
I love the cat.
Great. And you have been without the cat now for 8 months, right? You didn't sue for the return of the cat, right?
Oh, well, I did make a counterclaim.
I know you made a counterclaim. We're talking about 8 months later. So you've been without the cat for a while, and the cat's been living with your mother. She keeps the cat. But you got your laptop back. Now, you want to tell me about your allegation that she destroyed certain property on the night of January 15th when you had this fight?
Yes, ma'am. She broke a antique signed Marilyn Monroe picture that was in a frame, and it was behind glass. It was sentimental to me. It was an antique. It was given to me by a now ex-boyfriend. It hurts me that it is now destroyed. The frame is broken. It was completely destroyed.
You mean the picture was destroyed?
It was. It was torn.
How does the picture get destroyed?
But it was destroyed, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Abdominal pain, bloating? You may have IBS. Ask your doctor if new non-prescription IBGuard is right for you. IBGuard calms the angry gut. Available at CVS and Walgreens.
When your skin is feeling dry and crinkly, time for Gold Bond Healing Lotion. Packed with 7 moisturizers and 3 vitamins. Leave skin nourished, healed, healthy looking. Gold Bond.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Are you in a family dispute? Go to JudgeJudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Now, you have 5 days to give her back her laptop. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. You get your laptop back. That's the result on the counterclaim. Your claim against your daughter is dismissed. You can't tell a tenant they cannot have overnight guests. And if you want to play mom, you play mom. And if you want her to contribute to a household that is a house with 3 bedrooms, you have 1, her brother has 1, and she has 1. She can have over a boyfriend. She can have over a girlfriend. She can have over somebody else if she wants to during the week. She's allowed to do that, just as you are, and just as your son is. The fact that you didn't like him, that's your problem. Tell her you don't have to pay rent, and you abide by my rules, and you also have to pay rent. The law doesn't recognize you have that right. That's all. This case is over.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
She hit him in the face with the pepper spray.
Your son?
Yes. I yelled, stop. She hit me with the pepper spray.
I was protecting myself. Neither one of them hurt you.
Next Judge Judy.
There wasn't an assault. There was just a blow up, and
we were just laying down sleeping, and she woke us up just yelling at us.
I blew up and kind of
telling him he doesn't live there.
Went off on the boyfriend.
And then the cops got called, and
big thing happened, so I kind of
just a bunch of stuff went down.
Yeah, caused it.
I think we'll have a good relationship still.
It damaged it for a while.
We've kind of got past this now, so.
But we can move on, I think.
Yeah, lesson learned.
And her boyfriend's an okay guy. They're doing really well now.
I just thought it was okay. I didn't think it was a huge problem.
Maybe it was me. Maybe I drove him crazy.
They were enraged at me.
I yelled for her to leash the dogs. She replied she didn't need to have them leashed.
So she got the upper hand.
First, she pepper sprayed the puppy, who was on a leash. She hit him in the face with the pepper spray.
Your son?
Yes. I yelled, stop. She hit me with the pepper spray.
I was protecting myself.
Neither one of them hurt you.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Jeffrey Wall and his 23-year-old son, Rex, are suing their neighbor, Leopoldine Brown, for pepper spraying them and their dog.
Order. All rise. This is case number 94 on the calendar, the matter of Wall versus Brown.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Mr. Wall, this is your son.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you a neighbor of the defendant, Miss Brown?
Yes.
How long have you been neighbors?
10 years.
And you have a dog?
We have 2.
What kind?
Labrador retrievers.
And you have how many dogs?
3 dogs.
What kind?
Havanese.
And how long has it been that you've been having difficulty with each other?
Since about November.
How did it start?
Well, we have some old fire roads that run behind our homes that walk our dogs back there. We've met Mr. Brown with the dogs back there, never had any problems at all. This time we were walking. At that time, my puppy was only about 6 months old. He ran off in front of me. I was only about a second behind the dog, and I caught up with him. She was in a panic, yelling and stuff that my dog had startled her, and she had fallen on her dog. Later that evening, she came over to our house with her husband. The story changed, that my dog had jumped on her and knocked her into her dog. Stories changed several times.
Okay, but that's when the trouble started.
Yes.
Okay, and I gather, Miss Brown, from affidavits that I read that you wrote, you notified Mr. Wall's insurance company.
Mr. Wall notified his insurance company.
Because?
Because his dog, when it was off leash, blindsided me and hit me in the back of my calf and caused me to fall forward, at which time my dog was next to me. I tripped over him and fell on him and dislocated his hip. And Mr. Wall's dog was jumping on top of me. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a coyote.
Okay.
Mr. Wall came not in a second later. He came...
Just a minute. So you told him, when you and your husband went to his house, you told him that he should notify his insurance company because...
I wanted him to have his insurance company pay for, we were given an estimate of about a $4,000 operation.
For the dog?
Yes.
Okay. And did they pay for the operation?
Yes, they did.
Through his homeowners?
Yes.
Okay. And that was when the troubles began?
I thought it was over at that point.
Okay.
Well, wait.
Just a second. Were there any other incidents, Miss Brown, with Mr. Wall's dog? I mean, the dog didn't bite you. No. As you said, he brushed by your calf, startled you, you fell, and you fell over your dog, and your dog was injured.
Yes, I had a road rash.
Okay. Let's not get crazy.
No, well, it actually started in about September. The dogs were off leash. His dogs came running at me. My dogs always run home. And the day before this incident happened, on November 14th, on November 13th, I was coming out of my property onto this path, and Rex Wall was walking the 2 dogs, saw mine, chased me onto my property and into my garage.
Who did? The dogs?
Yes, his 2 dogs.
The dogs did?
Yes.
Okay. And you had your 3 dogs with you?
Yes, we were all in my
garage.
Yes.
Just a second. You were out walking your 3 dogs?
Yes.
Off leash?
Yes.
He was out walking his dogs off leash?
Yes.
His 2 dogs, one of which was a 6-month-old, to your house?
Yes.
All right. Let's not make it more dramatic than it is, madam. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I do.
All right. Some people, if they're walking little children and they see 3 Havanese running towards them, the toddlers get frightened, right?
Yes.
That's why you're supposed to walk your dogs on leashes. Everybody. Now, Let's get to the incident itself, because it is your claim that Miss Brown assaulted you and your son. Miss Brown acknowledges that she assaulted you, but says she was acting in self-defense. That's what the case is about. And you once again were walking your dogs behind your property in this area, in this trail, and your dogs are leashed.
Yes.
Your dogs are unleashed. That's what I read.
Yes.
So, what time?
Approximately 4:30, 5 o'clock.
What date?
January 9th.
Tell me what happened.
We had been trying to avoid Mrs. Brown going different places. Okay.
Just tell me what happened on January.
We saw her coming down the path. She saw us. We had the dogs on a leash, and we were in a big, wide, open field. We're just walking the dogs there. Mrs. Brown approached with her 3 dogs unleashed. I yelled for her to leash the dogs. She replied she didn't need to have them leashed. And when her dogs, they're small dogs, they ran off.
Just a second. You yelled at her to have her dogs leashed. Why?
We had been walking them.
So you yelled at her to have her dogs leashed because of her complaints. You now walk your dogs on leashes.
Yes.
Her dogs weren't doing anything to you.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you yelled at her, leash your dogs. What did she respond?
Her dogs didn't need to be leashed.
How far were you when you had that conversation with her?
20, 25 feet.
Okay, go ahead.
And as her dogs ran off, we proceeded to head home. It was the path that we would use to head to the trails home.
Just a second. Is what you're telling me, the dogs ran home. Did she run after the dogs?
She started to.
She started to go after the dogs. And were you still out in this field, or you were now coming to the trail?
We're coming to the trails, yeah.
Which is a narrower place?
Yes.
Okay. And you were going in the same direction as she was?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
And
Hold on. And was she still 25 feet away?
No, we're probably a little closer than you or I, or we're about from you or I together now. And we were still trying to go down the path.
Now, is going down the path that she was on is the way for you to get home?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
She said we couldn't go down there. Her dogs were there for us to take another direction. And she just stepped forward and started pepper spraying. First, she pepper sprayed the puppy, who was on a leash. And my son bent down to guard the puppy's eyes. He almost knelt.
I didn't want that.
That's what happened.
Okay,
now,
then Mr. Wall knocks the pepper spray out of my hand. I turn my back, I scream, and I run away. Mr. Wall decides to take vigilante justice in his hands, runs after me, shoved me against a tree, and starts beating me with the dog Chuck-It. And I have pictures.
Just a second. I'd like to see the photographs of the injuries. And the police came to your house once.
Yes.
Then you called them to come back to your house to take photographs.
Yes.
They didn't take photographs the first time that they came to your house.
He didn't have a photographer.
You have an iPhone. You have a phone. They have a phone. They came to your house.
Yes.
So you understand what I'm saying. You called the police to come back and memorialize your injuries.
Yes. Well, the police officer had noted I had an injury in my hand.
Well, we already acknowledged that.
Yes.
We acknowledged the fact that he knocked the pepper spray out of your hand, which he has an absolute right to do. The only thing that would be questionable is if he chased you and beat you.
Yes.
Did you do that?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Did
you?
No.
He did.
No, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They beat you. Show me a picture of those 2 spots turning black and blue.
It is black and blue.
No.
What is it?
Don't ask me what it is. It's not black and blue. I'm telling you it's not.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeffrey Wall and his son Rex claim neighbor Leopoldine Brown pepper sprayed them and their dog. Leopoldine is countersuing for attorney fees and an assault.
Go ahead.
At that time, he hit me about 10 to 15 times, and I heard Rex in back of me say, "Dad hit her, Dad hit her." Then I ran back another way. He hit me a few more times, and then he threatened me by saying, "I'm going to knock those glasses right off your face." Then I noticed the pepper spray working, and I was able to get away.
Okay, let me understand this. The pictures that you're showing me, just so that we have it all accurate, because, you know, this is not my first rodeo.
I know.
Good. I'm glad you know. I'm glad you know it's not my first rodeo. From the 10 or 15 times that you, in an affidavit, said that they beat you, you show me 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 photographs.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those photographs are all of your hand.
No, they're my back
just
of
a
my
sec.
neck.
Just a sec. No. Watch what I'm saying to you.
Okay.
2
photos.
3.
My wrist. Other
3.
wrist. Yes.
4 pages. Then you show me something that you've pointed to that looks like a red mark on your neck.
A bruise.
That I'm supposed to believe was caused by them.
Yes.
This is also a dark spot back here.
Yes.
A red spot
and
that you want me to believe is a bruise that they caused your head.
Yes.
Okay.
And I had a fur coat on, which you have a picture of there with a busted seam, and a long sleeve winter blouse under that.
Now, did you ever beat her?
No, ma'am.
Did you?
I've never hit a woman in my life.
I don't believe that they beat you at all. I believe that they knocked around your arm with a pepper spray. I do believe that. And I even think that they may have hit the pepper spray out of your arm with this stick. I do believe that. I don't believe that either one of these two men chased you to a tree and beat you 10 to 15 times. Now I'd like to take a look at the police reports. At all, Miss Brown.
Then how did I get those pictures?
That's all.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I don't believe that they beat you at all. And if they beat you, show me a picture of those 2 spots. One here and one here. Listen to me. One here and one here turning black and blue.
It is black and blue.
No. It is not black and blue, madam.
The one on my...
Don't ask me what it is. It's not black and blue. I'm telling you it's not black and blue. Even he doesn't believe you.
Oh, my heavens. Oh, my heaven.
Oh, my heavens.
Well, I don't know what...
Hunter, I do believe.
Oh, my God. Well, if my back is turned, they ran after me with the chuck it. And if you can't see that that's black and blue on the back of my neck...
I can't.
How can you not?
Don't ask me a question. I'm just telling you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Oh, well, this is an interesting police report. She stated then that Jeffrey hit her with a fetch 10 to 15 times. She declined medical attention. Oh, there we go.
All right.
Then, just a minute.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeffrey Wall and his son Rex have accused neighbor Leopoldine Brown of pepper spraying them and their dog.
Now, if you were hit with that stick 10 to 15 times, where else on your body were you hit?
He went for my head
Just
and
to say,
neck.
where else were you hit?
Under
you
the
mean you're telling me that 10 to 15 times he hit you in the same place? Is that what you're telling me?
He hit me on my back and my head.
Just a second. Back and head. Where are the bruises that you allege you had on your back?
The back of my head.
You understand where I'm going, Miss Brown?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, that's too bad.
If they can't see that.
Well, I can't believe that I can't see it, and I don't believe you. Oh, well, this is an interesting police report. The police came to your house. They spoke to you. The first thing they asked was if she needed medical attention and referred to the incident that had just occurred. She said, no, I'm fine.
Right.
Then she walked me into the kitchen, and we sat down at the kitchen table. She showed me 4 pictures of injuries that she said occurred just before Thanksgiving and was a result of an altercation with the Wall's 2 dogs.
Yes, I have those
Just a second. I'm reading about the incident that happened in January.
No, but
just be quiet, Miss Brown. Miss Brown, I'm reading what you told the police.
Okay.
Because the first thing that I would have said at the kitchen table was, they beat me 10 to 15 times with a stick. That's not what you told. Just a second. That would be the first thing that I would tell the police, if it were true.
I said it on the police recording when I called 911. I told the police when I called 911.
Okay, I'm going to read the rest.
Okay.
Don't speak. I'm going to read the rest. Okay, so she showed me 4 pictures of injuries that she said occurred before Thanksgiving. Didn't show them, didn't say, this is a bruise that just happened, this is a bruise that just happened. 4 pictures that she mentioned being beaten 10 to 15 times. That comes later. She said that the incident had caused her to be in fear of both Jeffrey and his son and the 2 dogs. Right. She stated that today she was walking her 3 dogs off leash in the trails behind her house and spotted Jeffrey Wall, his son, and the 2 dogs on leash at the field. Right. And as she was standing there, the younger Wall came running at her, yelling at her. She stated, I was in fear of my life and I stood my ground.
Right.
She said she began pepper spraying the black lab, and the younger Wall got in her face, so she sprayed him. She stated then that Jeffrey got in her face, and she sprayed him. She said Jeffrey hit her with a fetch plastic dog throw toy about the upper torso, but that it did not leave marks because she was wearing a heavy coat. She stated that she was thrown back into a tree and that Jeffrey Wall swung at her. She showed some swelling of her right hand, knuckle area, and a minor scratch on her left wrist. She declined medical attention. Oh, there we go.
All right.
Then, just a minute.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Are you the victim of an assault? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook. And
I didn't have my camera. Doesn't say anything else. Approximately an hour after our first conversation, she called the station and said she wanted to report further injury because you knew that there might be trouble from this pepper spray. She was called to the scene to take photographs of the injuries. Miss Brown, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. The police officer's report is crystal clear as to what happened. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, which is $2,000. You count the claims dismissed. That's all.
Thank you, Judge Scheinman.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy...
He cannot prove that Alex broke his mirror. Alex had tire marks on his ankle. He had pain in his knee.
Don't tell me what you suppose, what you think. Don't play CSI with me.
Next Judge Judy.
It's untrue. I never hit a woman in my life.
When I sat down in my chair later on, I felt the back of my neck hurt.
And my son, among the three of us, was the most innocent.
And those bruises were there.
She's got problems.
Well, he has not walked back there since this happened.
There was never any punishment for this. And
so I'm hoping that I won't see him again.
Judge Judy saw to there was some punishment.
Was her little dog just a loner?
She moved to an area that she was not comfortable in. She asked if she could borrow Gonzo for protection.
The dog is still with the defendant.
Or did she feel dogged after being deleted?
I just noticed you unfriended me on Facebook. No point in having my Gonzo if you ain't cool with me no more.
That is my dog, Your Honor.
Listen to me. That's why we're here.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheinland. This is Judge Judy. Sherelle Wilson is suing her former friend, Lisa Oliver, for the return of her dog and lost wages due to a false restraining order.
Order. All rise. Case number 169 on the calendar in the matter of Wilson versus Oliver.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Wilson, there are a couple of parts of your lawsuit. The first one is that you and the defendant became friends. You had a dog. I assume that this is the dog. You also became pregnant, had a baby, and at the time that you had the baby, according to you, well, and according to her, which is more of what I believe, which is her story, that the dog became a little overwhelming for you, the defendant, if she would like to borrow him. That's according to you. That happened in December of last year. And as far as I can see, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, some 8 months later, the dog is still with the defendant. That's one part of your lawsuit. You want the dog back or the cost of the dog. Second part of your lawsuit is that the defendant has some personal property that belongs to you that was left at her house. You don't even bother to specify what that is, and you want the value of that property back, or the property. I don't know what it is. You'll have to tell me. The defendant, you also complain that she filed a false restraining order against you, which you had to respond to. The defendant says she actually did file a restraining order against you after you and your husband came to her house repeatedly, starting in May, once with the police in an attempt to get the dog back. And that happened after the defendant stopped babysitting for you because there was a dispute over how much you were going to pay her. That's when she quit babysitting for you. All right, so now I have a couple of questions. And you have a counterclaim for the babysitting fees, which I assume you wouldn't have pursued had she not brought this case. Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And where you purchased the dog?
I got the dog back in December of 2011. My mother bought a dog for my sister. So the mother of Gonzo belongs to my sister. And my sister knows I love dogs. I was the first person to...
Just a second.
I'm sorry.
Could we do a linear story here? Did you get the dog from your sister?
I did.
Was it a puppy from a litter of puppies that your sister had?
That's correct.
And that was in December of 2011?
March of 2011.
Which March?
March of 2011 is when I got Gonzo at 10 weeks old.
When was the dog born?
He was born probably in February.
Now, before you got the dog, did you have any children?
No, I did not.
Were you married?
I was not when I got Gonzo.
When did you marry?
I married in 2014 in August.
What month?
In August.
And when was your son born?
In September of 2015. I'm sorry. In 2014. And I'm sorry, I got married in 2013.
Had you been working prior to that?
Yes, I have.
Did you stop working, or do you continue to work?
I continue to work. I stopped for maternity leave.
And who takes care of your son?
Currently, I have a sitter for when I go to work.
Now, I want you to tell me about December of 2000.
When Lisa asked me to...
Listen to me. You know, you're already starting to shift your feet. That's my job. I relish my job. My job is to look at all the telltale signs of people who are going to start to tell me a baloney story. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That shift right away, and the way you moved your head was my key, that you were going to start to tell me a baloney story. So I want you to take a deep breath, a deep one, and start all over again, and I would like you to tell me what happened in December that caused you to turn over the dog to Miss Oliver?
In December, Your Honor, Lisa and me were having a conversation about her living situation. She moved to an area that she was not comfortable in. She asked if she could borrow Gonzo for protection.
No.
That is correct.
Why?
She asked if she could borrow Gonzo
I actually told you to take the breath. You just didn't want to listen to me. I read what you wrote here. You didn't want to listen to me, so she wanted to
I don't need to take a breath.
She wanted the dog for protection.
That's
Keep going.
absolutely correct, which we laughed about the same way that you guys are doing today.
Keep going.
I let her know that Gonzo's not going to protect her, but he will let her know if somebody comes to the door. So I talked about it to my husband. At that same time, we had just been talking about how Gonzo and...
Then, you had been talking to your husband... Shh, look at my mouth. You'd been talking to your husband then...
Yes.
About how the baby and Gonzo interact.
That is correct.
Oh, that's an interesting... Let's start there. And what was the issue with regard to how the baby and Gonzo interact?
Gonzo was my only baby at the time.
So he was jealous?
That is correct.
All right. So you were talking to your husband about how Gonzo was jealous of the baby.
I'm not going to say jealous. He always was licking the baby. And if dogs, they lick in places that I don't want my dog licking my baby in the face at that time. So this was a perfect temporary situation with Lisa being in the temporary situation she was in, and with my son not yet old enough to move out of Gonzo, move away from Gonzo and different things like that. I felt like this was a perfect situation for both of them. She'd borrowed Gonzo before, or had him before, so I didn't see a problem with it.
Just really, when prior to December of 2014 had she had the dog?
Well, Lisa was homeless at a time, and me and my husband had moved into a new home. And we had paid the rent on our apartment at that time, so it was vacant. So with Lisa being homeless at the time in the apartment until the lease was up.
Wait, just a second. When was that?
That was in October.
So October 2014, you let her stay in your vacant apartment.
That's correct.
What does that have to do with the dog?
Gonzo stayed there.
Okay. Gonzo stayed there from October of 2014 until when?
Till the end of October.
So at the end of October, you took him back?
That's correct.
Okay,
she
so
brought
you
him
had,
over to the
just
house.
a second, so you had him back in November?
That's correct.
And when was the baby born?
He was born
in September.
That's correct.
He was born in September. So either immediately after or shortly after the baby was born, the defendant took the dog for a month.
That is correct. I mean, she didn't take the dog. The dog was still at that apartment. That's where I lived. So during our move.
What else? Talk to me. Now, she came to babysit for you.
That's correct.
At one point. At what point did she come to babysit for you? Did you need a babysitter? What month?
The month was March of 2014.
Okay. So now Gonzo has been with her the entire month of October I don't know how much in November. I'm going to get a different story for her. The month of December, January, February, and now is March. So now it's been with her about 4 months. And in March, she comes to babysit for you because you clearly lost your babysitter. You needed somebody. And you told her you would give her some money, right?
That's somewhat correct.
Yeah.
That's not the part that was incorrect, but she offered to babysit for me. I did not know that she was in a place to babysit for my son. I let her know that I was looking for a sitter that day. She let me know she was not working and that she could do it. We went over some rates, and she agreed to watch him for $20 a day.
She agreed to watch him for $20 a day.
That is absolutely correct.
Just a second. Now, I want the name of the person who's currently babysitting for your son.
Christy is who's currently watching my son.
And is she paid by you directly?
That is correct.
And how much does she make a day?
From me, a day.
How much does she pay? Listen to me. I asked you a question. The question was, is she paid by you directly?
Yes.
Is she paid in any part by the state?
I believe so.
How much is she paid by the state?
I don't know how much she's getting paid by the state.
First of all, I don't believe that at all. You're an intelligent woman. You know exactly how much she's paid by the state. How much do you pay her a day?
I pay her a day.
The eyes are shifting again.
I'm trying to think, Your Honor.
You don't have to think. I would know immediately. I have people who work for me. How much do you pay them for a day? I know they make $60 a day. They make $80 a day. And believe me, I have a much more intricate business than you do. But I can keep it straight because if you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory.
In a moment.
This is perfect. So I just noticed you unfriended me on Facebook. So I assume you ain't my friend no more. No point in having my gonzo if you ain't cool with me no more.
She violated our agreement.
That's a lie.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherelle Wilson says former friend Lisa Oliver owes for the return of her dog and lost wages due to a false restraining order. Lisa is countersuing for unpaid babysitting fees and harassment.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I pay her by the week, Your Honor, so...
Well, how much do you pay? That's all you had to say. Let me figure it out. I pay her by the week. How much do you pay her by the week?
$136.
And how many days does she babysit for you?
On average, just 3. Here lately, it's been 5. My schedule changes.
Okay, and in addition to the $136, she also gets money from the state. Is that what you're saying?
That is what she told me.
All right, very good. So the $20 a day that you claim you agreed on with the defendant is really about 1/3 of what you pay a babysitter, because no babysitter works for $20 a day.
Not at all. I have a contract that shows exactly the amount that I pay my sitter at the time. I have a different sitter than I did in
the 19th century. We're talking about 6 months ago.
That's correct.
Okay.
I have the contract from 6 months ago.
Let's just move on here, please. So she babysat for you for how many weeks?
2.
And how much money did you pay her?
$90.
90?
That is correct.
Who gave her the 90?
My husband.
That's a lie. And what did she say when you gave her the $90 a week or $45 a week?
My husband gave her that. She got more than what we agreed on.
Just a second. I just want to, don't tell me what she got. She says different. I want to know what she said when you gave her the $90.
Like I said, Your Honor, I was not there. My husband gave her the money.
Okay, fine. Now, the day after your husband gave her the $90, did she show up to babysit?
Yes, I did.
She did?
We dropped our son off at her place.
And she babysat?
That's correct.
When did she quit?
Quit.
You say she quit without notice. So what date did she quit?
She didn't. She never quit, Your Honor. She asked me for more money, and we found a sitter.
Which date? Just a second.
On April 18th.
So she didn't just leave you without notice. She said she wanted more money.
She did not leave. She left without notice. She asked for more money. That, to me, does not mean she's quitting. That means she wants more money.
Just a second. And you said no?
I did not, Your Honor. During that time of not responding, I had time to find another sitter.
Great.
Next day.
Oh, so you're not talking about a lot of time. You're talking about 24 hours.
That's correct.
Great. Now, on what date was that?
On the 19th of April that I signed a contract with the next
4/19. And on what date was the first time you asked for the return of the dog?
May 8th.
And was the same babysitter babysitting for you on May 8th as was babysitting for you on April 20th?
No, ma'am.
Did you have a babysitter?
I do have.
No, not now. Not now. My question is a simple one.
Yes.
You found another babysitter, you said in 24 hours. And my question to you is, when you asked for the dog back, did you have the same babysitter that you had found in a day on April 19th on May 8th? And if you did, I want the name.
May I look to see exactly what day that sitter quit, I guess?
Not necessary. You just answered my question.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Me going over there on Mother's Day and her not answering the door was the first time that I even realized that we were not.
Really? No, this was before Mother's Day.
I didn't know that
Listen,
there was an
any
issue.
moron knows when somebody unfriends you on Facebook, they don't want to be your friend anymore.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherelle Wilson has accused former friend Lisa Oliver of owing for the return of her dog and lost wages.
Now, when you contacted her for the return of the dog on May 8th, what did she tell you?
She never responded.
And did you send that by text or email?
Text.
I'd like to see the text. Oh, no. This is perfect. So you texted her, and this was your text. I'm going to read it with a certain amount of license. So I just noticed you unfriended me on Facebook. So I assume you ain't my friend no more. So I can get Gonzo from you today. Please don't make this more difficult. I chose you because I felt like you would do right by him. My sis really wanted him. Please don't make me regret it. Just let me know when I should come and get him. No point in having my Gonzo if you ain't cool with me no more.
She violated our agreement.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Anything
I do
else?
have something else.
I actually have other things because you have other parts of your
Lisa
claim.
violated the agreement. Our agreement was for me to be able to still see Gonzo. I was still financially responsible for Gonzo.
No, anytime
Gonzo needed to go to the groomer or anything, I paid for that. I groomed him myself the other time before that. Lisa was to give Gonzo back to me whenever Isaiah was ready, or when I was able to do that,
Good.
which would have been around May.
I've heard your story. Now, the next part of my questioning has to do with how many times you and or your husband went to her house after you sent this email.
I went to her home 3 times.
Okay. What dates?
The first time I went to her home was on Mother's Day, which was May 10th.
Okay.
On that
next.
day, she didn't come to the door, so I just left a note on her door letting her know I'd be back for my things.
Just a second. Let's go to things. What things?
There was a stroller, Gonzo's cage.
Stroller?
There's a stroller, Gonzo's cage. There was things for the baby. There was like 2 bottles over there.
Do you have a stroller?
No, in between her first visit on Mother's Day and her second, I put it out. They could have it for all I know.
Okay, not important. What dates?
I came over the 10th, I came over the 12th, and the 13th.
When did you file for the protective order to keep her away from the house?
Friday the 15th, Your Honor.
Okay, so now I understand your case. You want 2 things. Forget the things that are at the house. I don't deal with bottles and strollers. You want the dog back.
I definitely want my dog back.
You can't have the dog back. You abandoned the dog. I'm telling you, you're not getting the dog back. That's why you're here. The dog has been with her now almost the better part of the year. If you count October, hey, watch my mouth. Watch my mouth.
She put a protective order on me,
It's
Your
not.
Honor.
It's not.
I was not able to go over and get the dog.
It's not happening. You're not getting the dog back.
That is my dog, Your Honor.
Well, listen to me. That's why we're here. You're not getting the dog back.
I am getting my dog back.
Oh no. Trust me. Put your hand down. Trust me. You are not getting the dog back. I want you to trust that as you trust you're standing there and you're going to go home to your son. The dog is not going home
Your
with
Honor,
you.
the only reason why Lisa had him still is because she put a protective order on me that got dismissed. The judge let me know, well, because Lisa never told me I could not go to her house the first time. Me going over there on Mother's Day and her not answering the door was the first time that I even realized that we were not
Really? What about, no, this was before Mother's Day.
She never responded, so I didn't know.
Of course, Miss Wilson.
I didn't know that
Listen,
there was an issue.
Be a friend anymore.
So,
That's exactly
but I
what
didn't
you
know
said.
why.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by Real Cases, Real People. Judge Judy. Have you been cheated? Go to JudgeJudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, the next thing I have to deal with in this ridiculousness is whether or not she filed a protective order and she had a valid reason. And she says in her answer that you came knocking at her door and you've been harassing her. I don't know whether you were harassing her or not, but coming to her door, coming to her door with your husband after this, I think that she had a basis to go to court and say, listen, I don't want her to come to my house anymore. As far as I'm concerned, it's my dog. If she wants to litigate whether or not it's her dog or my dog, let her go to court, let her serve me with a summons, which is what you did.
Right.
But don't let her come to my door, banging at my door with her husband. I don't want that to happen. And she had every right to do that. So both counts of your complaint are dismissed. Now, but for the fact, madam, that she filed this ridiculous lawsuit against you, you wouldn't have this silly counterclaim, would you? The answer is no. So, with your permission, I'm allowing you to withdraw.
Your Honor, I have
your
evidence.
case is dismissed.
Your
Return
Honor,
this to
I have the evidence that shows that I've been paying for Gonzo.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
What about your mother?
My mother didn't loan me any money.
This daughter says she's not indebted.
She sent me the $3,000. She offered to send that. She said God gave her this money because he must have known that I was going to need it.
Next Judge Judy.
Gonzo is my dog.
She asked me to adopt the dog, and I gave it a better home.
It was never going to be her dog.
I'm a loving and caring pet owner, and I'm so excited to have him continue to be a part of my family.
She cut off all communication while she had my